With the thousands of fly patterns out there, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and not quite sure you're tying on the right one. This fly fixes that. Because it's a proven simple pattern that's known for putting fish in the net year-round, anywhere trout swim. I've used it to catch fish on clear pressured tailwaters in the middle of winter and during epic midge hatches in the spring and summer. It's one of my go-to flies for a reason. Today we'll run through what it imitates, why it works, and exactly how to fish it. This is the Zebra Midge. The Zebra Midge is a slim, simply tied nymph that imitates midge pupae. It's effective all year long and shines just about everywhere, since midges are part of a trout's diet in virtually every river on the planet. By the way, if you want our Zebra Midge cheat sheet that has all of our go-to sizes, colors, and rigs, you can get it by scanning the QR code here on screen or hit the link in the video description. Alright, here's what the Zebra Midge imitates. Flies fall into three categories: realistic, impressionistic, and attractive. The Zebra Midge is a realistic pattern. It's meant to closely match a midge pupa, which is one of the most consistently available food sources trout eat all year long. Midges are tiny insects that live in rivers and lakes, and they're almost always present in the water whether you're fishing summer, winter, or anything in between. So even when you don't see bugs hatching, there's a really good chance that fish will still eat a Zebra Midge. That's why this fly can be deadly during a midge hatch, but also work great when nothing obvious is going on. Alright, let's break down the anatomy of a Zebra Midge, because the reason this fly works isn't magic, it's that every part of it does a job. The first thing is profile. The Zebra Midge is tied super slim, and that's important because midges are tiny, thin, and narrow. A lot of people mess this fly up by making the body too bulky. When you keep it thin, it looks more natural and it sinks better too. Next is weight, and the Zebra Midge is usually tied with a bead, preferably tungsten. And that's a big deal because most of the time fishing with midges isn't about having the perfect pattern, it's about getting that tiny fly down to where the trout are feeding. This is one of the reasons it's so great during winter or on pressured rivers, because it gets down fast without needing a huge heavy setup. Now once this fly actually gets in the zone, the next question is, what does it do in the water? This fly doesn't have legs or hackle or anything crazy, and that's the point. A real midge pupa isn't swimming around like a bait fish. It's mostly just drifting or slowly rising. So if you can get a clean drift, this fly looks alive without doing much. And the last piece is the trigger, and on the Zebra Midge it's mostly contrast, segmentation, and a subtle bit of flash. The thin body plus the ribbing gives it that buggy segmented look, and it adds just enough shine to help trout pick it out of the water. And that bead can also act like a little attractor point. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but just enough to get the fish to commit. So that's why it works. Now, here's 3 reasons why it's one of my go-tos. First, it's one of those flies that you tie on when you want a safe bet. When nothing's clearly hatching and it's not obvious what trout are eating, this is one of the best patterns to start with because midges are always moving around. Second, it saves tough days when fish won't commit. This is one of my first choices when fish are being picky, especially on pressured rivers where the fish have seen a million different flies or bigger nymphs don't get any love. And third, it helps you simplify your fly box. Instead of carrying a million different fly patterns, you can carry the same fly in a few different sizes and colors, and you'll be ready for pretty much any situation you run into. These are my go-to sizes. I'll use a size 16 when I want to get down fast or if I'm on a fishery with larger midges. I use size 18 most of the time just because midges are quite small and it's the best all-around option. And then I'll use size 20 or smaller when fish are being picky, especially in calm, clear, pressured rivers. And these are my favorite colors. The classic is black and silver, and that's because a lot of midge pupa tend to be darker in color, so this works great. You can go red and black if you want something with a little extra contrast. And then I also like olive and copper. It's just a solid change-up when fish have seen a lot of the standard stuff. And so instead of overthinking fly selection, you can just keep it simple and rotate through different sizes and colors depending on the day. Alright, so now that it's clear that this fly deserves a spot in your box, let's talk about how to rig it up and fish it. The primary way I fish a zebra midge is on a double nymph rig under an indicator. It's not too hard to set up, it's super effective at getting you to the right depth, and it helps you detect those subtle eats. I usually pair it behind a bigger, heavier fly, something with a tungsten bead, so that the whole rig gets down to where the fish are hanging out. And the second way I love fishing it is on a dry dropper rig, especially when I want a more sensitive, natural indicator than a big bobber. The dry fly is going to land softer and just gives you a little better feel for those tiny eats. If it pauses, dips, twitches, anything that looks slightly off, set the hook. And one last tip when it comes to fishing the zebra midge. The biggest mistake is fishing them too shallow. This fly is meant to be fished close to the bottom. If you're not ticking bottom every 4 to 5 casts, you're likely not deep enough. Don't be afraid to add a heavier fly or lengthen your leader or even add some split shot. Small tweaks can often make a big difference. If you take one thing from the zebra midge highlight, it's this. Don't overthink it. It's never a bad fly to tie on. You just got to get it deep and let it drift naturally. And just a reminder, if you want all of this information in one place, you've got to check out our Zebra Midge cheat sheet. It has all the go-to sizes, colors, and rigs we use, plus links to grab a 3-pack or the materials if you want to tie this fly yourself. The QR code is here on screen, or you can hit the link in the video description. And if you want more patterns like this, flies that just get the job done, check out our other fly highlight videos right here.